Okay, so for the second half of this video, we're going to look at synthetic substitution. These are just the steps written out. We'll go through examples so you can see it. This is extremely important for those of you moving on to calculus. Okay, because what synthetic substitution does for us, it enables you to find the factors of higher order polynomials. So what does that mean? You're able to factor polynomials. You're able to factor quadratics. You should be able to factor them easily, quickly, and well. A higher order would be anything greater than a degree of 2. So some cubics you're able to factor easily, but when you get into quartics and higher than that, there's no one technique that always works. So synthetic substitution is a quick method to be able to see if we can find a factor of a given polynomial. Okay, so here's my polynomial. This is a cubic trinomial, so our methods of factoring will not work for this. So use synthetic division to find p of -3. Okay, now this says synthetic division. I'm going to do substitution in the video. So this is my value of x. So I put this in a little box, and this should look vaguely familiar from last year. Start with my lead coefficient. So that's my x cubed coefficient. That's my x squared coefficient. Notice that I don't have an x term. So I need to put a placeholder of a 0, and then 9 is my constant term. Okay, so look, start with the lead coefficient. Repeat the following until the last coefficient and constant is reached. Use 0 as a coefficient of any missing, that shouldn't be cubic, of any missing term. Okay, so bring down the lead coefficient, multiply by that value of x. 4 times -3 is -12. Add these together, so I get -1. Multiply, -1 times -3 gives me 3. Add, multiply 3 times -3 gives me -9. 9 minus 9 gives me a value of 0. Okay, so this number here is your remainder. If your remainder is 0, so when we evaluated p of -3 is equal to 0, then what that tells you is x plus 3 is a factor of the original, of that original polynomial. Okay, so that's it. This is my answer. It's asking me to find p of -3. So technically I'm done. P of -3 equals 0. Okay, what do these values represent? Well, what these are the quotient. So if I take x cubed and I divide it by a linear factor, so now my new polynomial would be 4x squared minus x plus 3. So this would be my quotient. We'll call that q of x for my quotient. Okay? If this tells me that x plus 3 is a factor of the original, then I can rewrite p of x now in factored form. So I can write it as x plus 3 times this polynomial we got in our quotient, 4x squared minus x plus 3. All right, my question to you, is this factorable? So I'm leaving you quite a few things to do in the video. So answer that for me. Is that factorable? If it is, factor it. If not, we'll talk about the answer in class. All right, this is the last one I'm going to do. So here I have another cubic trinomial. Use synthetic substitution to find p of 2. So 2 goes in my little box. X cubed coefficient. Notice x squared isn't in the original, so I need a placeholder of 0. X coefficient, constant term. Bring down the first. Multiply and add. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 and 0 give me 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 minus 2 is 14. 14 times 2 is 28. And when I add these together, I get a remainder of 43. So this is the value of P of 2. So P of 2 is equal to 43. That's obviously not equal to 0, so we cannot say that x minus 2 is a factor. Not a factor of the original. Okay, so how does that correspond to what we're doing? I can still list my quotient. So when I divided those two polynomials, I get an answer of 4x squared plus 8x plus 14. But now my remainder, that 43, goes back over my original divisor. And my original divisor would be x minus 2. So notice here that the number in the parentheses is the opposite sign of what the expression would be. Okay, on the previous one, I plugged in -3, so x plus 3 would be a factor of my polynomial. Okay, these additional problems, you are not responsible for having them finished for class, but in the 2 videos, I did leave you with several things to work on, so please have all those items completed for class. That'll do it.